So let's have a look to begin with at the first of those, authenticity. And I'm going to talk about authenticity very boldly, using three very well-known New Zealand brands, and very happy to, have conversations with anybody afterwards who might be in the room from Vodafone, Westpac, or Z Energy about anything I raised today. So let's start by looking at Vodafone. Now, Vodafone have been an SBN member. I think they're a Sustainable Business Council member. They've made a number of advances. Some of that, I think, has been driven by their international context. Vodafone internationally are a very global player. And I was very pleased to note in the last couple of years that they have promoted a product trade-in scheme where most cell phone models you can trade in and they will recycle the parts and reuse them. It's good stuff. And also they launched an eco-ratings for their smartphones and their phones so that you can see which phones have a lower footprint. It's not as advanced and attractive, and the Fair phone might actually tempt me to upgrade from my very retro phone. I know I have a tablet which kind of keeps me going. But from my perspective, Vodafone massively undermined this good work when earlier this year they launched their Red set of products and services. And Red launched with adverts, including billboards, which promoted one of the benefits of the Red service was you could get a new smartphone every year. New smartphone every year is the last thing we need people to be taking up for an organisation that's serious about sustainability. A new smartphone every year completely perpetuates that being wedded to disposable technology. It's the antithesis of a sustainability mindset. And so for me, it really undermined the good work that Vodafone had been doing by holding up in a promotional gimmick within an overall package, something which emphasises that you can have something that is full of rare earth metals and toxic chemicals and throw it away at the end of the year to get the new latest one. And it reinforced that dichotomy, that situation we need to break between self-esteem being tied to having the latest gadget. We've got to start unpacking that as a society really quick. And Vodafone just compounded that problem with a big budget. So it's a flagrant example of disposable culture, and what they're missing is the customer frustration at the lack of repairing. So it's not just rooms like this that react as noisily as we all did to Simon's corridor about the Fair phone that you can repair. I've spoken to really young consumer audiences who have exactly the same reaction. They're really frustrated with technology that breaks and costs them a fortune to fix it. So Vodafone are missing a trick. If there's anyone from Vodafone here in the room, let's get sorted out. It's not hard to start moving forward on some of this and understanding those issues. So authenticity from Westpac. They've got a very strong track record in sustainability. They took out the SBN Supreme Award in 2011, and they've promoted their commitment in various ways, including print ads like this one back in 2010 to promote their litter pickup campaign. And earlier this year, I was at the breakfast down the road where Westpac announced their second wave of sustainability, which is actually starting to look at where they have had criticism, which is around their product lending and investment criteria, which they have had a disconnect. They've been doing sustainability in-house, but they hadn't been reflecting it in what they lend to or what they invest in. But they've started doing that, and they've started with rural lending in New Zealand, and a programme of lending, particularly to farmers for photovoltaics, is a great step in the right direction. However, there's a big action planned because Westpac lend to a large company called Bathurst, who some of you may know are about to start mining the Denniston Plateau. But Denniston Plateau, amongst other amazing components of its ecosystem, has its own unique subspecies of giant landsdale, as do a lot of those other high plateaus down the west coast. And so activists are now drawing the link between Westpac's lending to Bathurst for Denniston and the impact of that work and going, hang on, you're a sustainability leader. Why are you planning to make profit from lending to an open cast coal mine in a conservation area? So it'll be really interesting to see how Westpac respond to that and where that authenticity, how far down does that authenticity really go? And you can find more information on that planned action in early December online. It's being organised at the moment. And then I'm going to talk about a petrol company as an example of being authentic, which feels slightly like a contradiction in terms. They exist to sell us fossil fuels, except that Z Energy are doing some really interesting and what I believe are very authentic things. For a start, they're taking active steps to try and sell you less of their product through their work with business buyers in particular, where they have specific programs to work with business customers to get them to reduce their fossil fuel use. But wait, there's more. They also have a long-term program of shift and a very clear stated objective of shifting New Zealand's fleet away from petrochemical-based fuels into biofuels and other low-impact ways of getting around. And they were just announced last week as one of the premier Pure Advantage program partners. That's far too many P's in one sentence. One of the first program partners, which really has given them some great extra oomph around that. And so they're telling those stories in quite a humble way. They're not running great big television adverts promoting it, but they're really walking that talk authentically. If you go to the website, there's some really good, deep information which shows you what they're doing. And, the CEO is there online talking about sustainability and their commitment to a New Zealand which is not dependent on fossil fuels and where climate change is addressed. That's bold, authentic, green marketing from a company. And what that does is start to create emotional bonds. And it's just earned them a whole bunch of free advertising in front of you this afternoon, and we'll do in front of other audiences. It's creating an emotional bond based on shared values because, as again we'll see from Jacqueline this afternoon, more and more of us care about this stuff and we want to be buying products and services from companies who care about it too.